Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. At the outset, I offer my devoted pranams to all the revered Maharajis present here in this hall, including the speakers of this session, Swami Vipalatmananda Ji Maharaj, Swami Nikhileshwarananda Ji Maharaj, Swami Bodhosarananda Ji Maharaj. I offer my namaskar to another respected speaker, Sri Shakti Prasad Mishra. He will be with us very soon, and other monks and brahmacharis, and I convey my love and best wishes to my brotherly youth representatives coming from all over India. Now in this session, when I am supposed to say something on how to deal with negative thoughts and depression, at the very beginning, the story of Master Mahashaya, or M, the venerable recorder of Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, is coming to my mind. In 1882, when he was 28 years old, in the course of his first few meetings with Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, Master Mahashaya introduced himself to him in this way. I live in a joint family with my father, stepmother and brothers, and we have many problems. I am a peace-loving person and cannot bear the family quarrels and petty-mindedness anymore. I sometimes feel like committing suicide. I am depressed and feel no peace or joy. I do not know in which direction to move. I am stuck in Maya. Please show me the way out. After many years of these days, Master Mahashaya recalled, 7 or 8 days after my first meeting with the Master, when he was walking through the courtyard of the Kali temple, I said to him, "It is better to take one's life than to suffer such terrible pain." At once he replied, "Why do you say so? You have a guru. Why do you worry? Your guru is always behind you. He can remove your sufferings by a mere wish. He makes everything favorable." Master Mahashaya afterwards further said, "What agony I was suffering, but in the course of time I had made God the Master." In retrospect, we see that God is all auspicious, but we judge things superficially. It was my family problems and my desire to commit suicide that led me to God. Even today, in this 21st century, which is the age of high-speed information and communication technology, we can easily relate to this episode of M when we discuss about negative thoughts and depression. Depression and anxiety have been characterized by the psychologists as the common code of psychopathology, which occurs too frequently in us, and almost every one of us has experienced in our life the phase of depression, fluctuating to certain degrees due to different reasons such as failure to achieve a desired goal or damage of property and wealth or loss of a beloved one, etc. According to a recent report by the World Health Organization, 56 million, that is 4.5% of Indians suffer from depression, and around 38 million, that is 3% Indians, suffer from anxiety disorder. Psychologists say that although depression may occur only once during one's life, people typically have multiple episodes. During these episodes, symptoms occur most of the day, nearly every day, and may include the followings: feelings of sadness, tearfulness, emptiness, or hopefulness, angry outbursts, bad temper, or frustration even over small matters, loss of interest in most or all normal activities like eating, reading, talking, moving, etc. Sleep disturbances, including sleeplessness or sleeping too much. Tiredness and lack of energy, so even small tasks take extra effort. Reduced appetite and weight loss, or increased cravings for food and getting too fatty. Anxiety, agitation, or restlessness. Slowed thinking, speaking, or body movements.
feeling of worthlessness or guilt, preoccupying on past gloomy events, failures, or self-blame, facing troubles while thinking, concentrating, making decisions, and remembering things, frequent or recurrent thoughts of death, suicidal thoughts, suicide attempts, or even committing suicides. Unexplained physical problems such as back pain or headache, momentary paralysis of muscles, etc. For many people with depression, symptoms usually are severe enough to cause noticeable problems in day-to-day activities, while in schools, colleges, workplaces, or in social activities, or keeping relationships with others. Some people may feel generally miserable or unhappy without really knowing why he is thus tormented. Negative thoughts can make depression worse, or negative thoughts themselves can be a symptom of depression. We can cite these following few examples of negative thoughts. 1. We see things either in white or black, or true or false categories, that is, in some polarized way, extremely good and extremely bad categories. There is less or no space for a gray or an intermediate area. 2. We see ourselves as a total failure when we do not perform the best. 3. We see a single negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat, thereby making broad interpretations out of a single event, অর্থাৎ তিলকে তাল করি. We choose to select a single negative detail and dwell on it entirely, which blurs our vision of reality. We inwardly grumble over not getting proper attention. 6. We take everything personally, even when it is not meant that way. Thus, negative thoughts are superfluous understandings about the self, others, or the world in general that are characterized by negative perceptions, expectations, attributions, and are associated with unpleasant emotions and adverse behavioral, physiological, and health outcomes. These negative thoughts should be counteracted by positive thoughts. Maharishi Patanjali says, Vitarka vadhane pratipaksha bhavanam. In this regard, one very familiar story is coming to my mind. The story, which was documented in Bengali language by Sri Sukumar Roy, a very famous writer for children in the 19th century Bengal. The story goes like this. Once there was a king who happened to be seriously ill. Doctors, hakims, kabiraj, and all such others came in groups but could not detect the illness, what to speak of curing it. At that time, a monk came from somewhere and said that the illness would immediately come to an end if the king uses for a day the cast of shirt or a mattress of such a person who has no depression, anxiety, or stress in his mind, who has always a smile on his face, who is happy at all times in every situation. People ran around looking for such a man, but nowhere he was to be found. The chief minister himself was on the road for searching such a man. He was searching day after day and was returning home disappointed. His enthusiasm was about to run out. At that time, one day, he suddenly saw a crazy old man, a fakir, sitting on the bank of a river, leaning over a tree. This man was putting on only a loincloth on his body, and his face was full of violent white hair and beard. He was sitting and laughing all alone. The minister said, "Why are you laughing like that?" He said, "Should I not laugh? The world is revolving, the leaves are sprouting, the grasses are growing in the field, the sun is rising, the rain is falling, the birds are chirping on the trees and flying again, and all these are making me laugh." The minister said, "I understand, but don't you have anything else to do over the whole day, or don't you eat at all?" Fakir said, "Why won't it be there? I go to the river in the morning, take a bath there, watch the people come and go and talk, and then I come back to this tree. Then on the day food is available, by chance, I eat. And the day it is not available, I don't eat. I travel when I want to travel. I sleep when I feel sleepy. No worries, no concerns, only lot of funs. The day I don't get any food to eat, that is a wonderful day. Rather, the day I get food is a problematic one. Mix the rice with dal, put it in your mouth, chew it, swallow it, wash your hands and mouth, and then drink water, wipe your hands. So many things to do. The minister understood that this was the right person, and he asked for either one of his used shirt or a used mattress. Hearing this, the fakir started laughingly rolling on the ground and said, "This loincloth is my only belongings, and I have not seen a bed for the last 40 years, and what to speak of using mattress and pillows again." The minister returned home disappointed and communicated everything to the king. The king sat thinking, "I am the king and I live like a king. I eat good things. There is no shortage of anything. Even then I am sick. And that poor fakir who has no clothes, no blanket, who sleeps under a tree, eats what he gets. He does not care for sickness and always happy." The next day, the king appeared in the court and declared, "All of you, the unfortunate ministers who idly sit down in the meetings, none of you could do anything. Now look, I have cured my illness myself, and I will blow up the head of the one who he will be speaking of my illness anymore." The moral of this story is undoubtedly taken from the Indian scriptures. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Elevate yourself through the power of your mind and not degrade yourself. For the pure and well-designed mind is the friend of oneself, and the mind full of negative and impure ideas is the enemy of the self. For those who have conquered the mind, it is their friend. For those who have failed to do so, the mind works like an enemy. We find that even the very elevated souls also sometimes are prone to come under the spell of dark nights, that is, depressive moods. Though this kind of depression is of some different kind, but how do they get rid of such spells should be taken as a great lesson by us. For example, Swami Tattwasarananda, a brother disciple of Vivekananda, once recalled, "When I was young and living in the Baranagar Mutt, once I had a very sad and depressive disposition that everyone else me is working in this world. Myself alone is doing nothing. I could not meditate. I was then pacing back and forth on the roof. Then suddenly there was a rift in the cloud, and out of it came the full moon in all its majesty. I saw that majesty. All darkness was dispelled, and the whole landscape was flooded with light. As soon as I saw that, I thought, see, the moon was there all the time, but I could not see her. So the Atman is also ever present, shining in its own glory and majesty, but I did not see it. And at once I felt strong again, my depression all gone." For the sake of getting rid of impure and negative ideas, we need to take a firm resolution of abiding by a healthy lifestyle in a slow but steady and sustaining way. Firstly, until we are in a mentally stable condition, we must be very particular about the cleanliness of our body, dress, room, and other belongings, and should not covet for physically too intimate proximity of others. Our human relationships must always be gracious and on the lines of mutual reverence, elegance, and a sense of divinity. Everyone will not become a monk, we know, but until we are entering into Grihastha life, at any cost, we should struggle to lead a life of brahmacharya, both physically, mentally, as well as verbally. This is very, very important, and in long run, it is proven to be unimaginably rewarding. Secondly, we must judiciously be using the electronic gadgets and Android mobiles and always become consciously vigilant about how far, at least for some time of every day, we can stay without the help of these important, useful, and at the same time addictive hazards. Our lives should not be centered around how much attention we are getting on the electronic social media. In this regard, conscious and joyful effort for becoming free from worldly desires is very helpful. Thirdly, we must consciously practice to become contented and inwardly happy in all situations, because from contentment comes matchless happiness. Maharishi Patanjali says, Santoshat anuttama sukhalabha. Fourthly, we must deliberately practice some sort of self-imposed penance or hardship, that is, austerities like judicious fasting, sensible observance of silence, and using time effectively, following a prudent, well-structured routine. We should learn to enjoy the delight of plain living and high thinking. Fifthly, practice of swadhyaya is again one important thing. Swadhyaya means three things. One, studies and cognition. Two, practice of prayer, japa, and meditation. And three, self-introspection. To explain it, first, swadhyaya means studies and discussions on regular basis of good books like the life and teachings of Thakur Ma and Swamiji and their apostles, and life and teachings of other religious teachers like Shankara, Ramanuja, Buddha, Chaitanya Deva, and such others, and elevating classical literature as well. Second, swadhyaya means prayer to God along with practicing japa and meditation on the form, qualities, and divine place, and tattvachinta, that is contemplation on the real nature of God. And lastly, swadhyaya means self-introspection, that is thread-bearing analysis of my own attitude, aptitude, strength, weakness, and the bent of my mind, and accordingly deal with others. We should inwardly analyze about what our mind actually wants to be in future. Does it want to lead a life of a householder, or it wants to enjoy the adventures in spiritual life by embracing the all-renouncing life of monasticism? At this mature age, through the process of self-introspection, we may try to listen to the silent song of our souls. Sixthly, we need to sincerely start believing in the existence of the omniscient and omnipotent God. We should try to consciously develop such conviction that I am not this body of flesh and blood, but my real nature, but my real me is none but He. This is from Swamiji's poem. Or I am the son or daughter or a humble devotee or a servant of God. Or I am an instrument in His hand, a soldier of God for rendering service to the humanity. And lastly, physically rendering some sort of service to the suffering people as per our capacity is unquestionably beneficial. Swamiji showed us that Shivagyane Jivaseva can lead us to the ultimate spiritual realization, and what to speak of its efficacy in total annihilation of depression and negative thoughts. In this regard, we can keep close contact with any nearby branch centers of Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission or any ashrama belonging to Bhava Prachar Parishad near at hand. I would like to end this discussion by reciting the reminiscence of Simone Eva, a French lady who had the miraculous vision of Swami Vivekananda when she was passing through a turbulent phase of her life. This reminiscence was published in Chandannagar Journal, the Institute, in 1970 and was translated into beautiful Bengali by late Professor Shankari Prasad Bosu, an illustrious researcher on Swami Vivekananda. I am reading here the Bengali rendering since, unfortunately, I could not get the English one. On the screen, my immature translation of the text is given for the benefit of those who can't follow Bengali. সিমন এভা রোট, আমার জীবনে স্বামীজির আবির্ভাব বড় যন্ত্রণার মধ্য দিয়ে। না, আমি তাকে সাক্ষাৎ দেখিনি, তবে পড়েছিলাম রোমারোলার বিবেকানন্দ জীবনী বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের যখন ছাত্রী। বিশেষ মনোযোগ দিইনি, ভুলেও গিয়েছিলাম কি পড়েছি। ভারতবর্ষ বড় সুদূর দেশ, ফরাসি দেশের মেয়ে আমি। তারপর অনেক বছর পেরিয়েছে, 15 বছর। জীবনে ঘনালো দুর্যোগ, সংকট, পীড়া, মৃত্যুর কালো ছায়া ঢাকলো আমাকে। কঠিন অস্ত্রোপচার হলো দেহে, বাঁচব না ধরে নিল সকলে, তবু প্রাণটুকু টিকে রইল ধিকি ধিকি। এই সময় এক বন্ধু এনে দিল বিবেকানন্দের যোগগ্রন্থ। ওতে নাকি উজ্জীবক শক্তি আছে নাকি? কষ্টে বইয়ের কয়েকটি পাতা উল্টেছি, আর তখনই নীল আকাশ থেকে যেন ফেটে পড়ল বজ্র। ঘুরতে লাগলো জানলা, ছাদ, দেওয়াল, গোটা কক্ষ। আছাড়ি পিছাড়ি তরঙ্গ শব্দে মন প্রাণ বলে উঠল, পেয়েছি পেয়েছি, এতদিনে পেয়েছি সত্যের দেখা। আরও কিছু পরে, তখনও বিপদ কাটেনি, তখনও রয়েছি জীবন মৃত্যুর মধ্যবিন্দুতে। তিনি অকস্মাৎ দেখা দিলেন মহাশূন্য থেকে। স্বপ্নে নাকি জানি না, এক অপূর্ব মূর্তি। কে? বিবেকানন্দ? নিশ্চয়ই তিনি, যদিও তার ছবি কখনো দেখেছি বলে মনে নেই। সৌন্দর্য বটে, অপরূপ আলোকিত বড়তনু, হাতে ধরা অপরিচিত মস্ত এক ফুল, সৌগন্ধে অতুলনীয়। বুঝে নিলাম ভারতীয় পদ্ম। পদ্ম হাতে বিবেকানন্দ হাসছেন ভুবন মোহন। রাগে অস্থির হয়ে চিৎকার করে বললাম, এ কি স্বামীজি, আপনি হাসছেন? আমি মৃত্যুশয্যায়, যন্ত্রণার শেষ নেই, তবু হাসছেন? কি নিষ্ঠুর আপনি! তবু হাসছিলেন। হাসিতে পদ্মে একাকার। অসহ্য রাগে মুখ ফিরিয়ে নেব, এমন সময় চোখ পড়ল তাঁর শরীরে। এ কি, তাঁর বুকে অত বড় ক্ষত কেন? রক্ত ঝরছে অবিরাম, তবু হাসছেন। পবিত্র ঘণ্টাধ্বনির মতো কণ্ঠ বাজল তাঁর, ভয় পেও না, নিরাশ হয়েও না, তুমি দুর্বল নও, বাঁচতেই হবে, মনে রেখো, জয়ী হতেই হবে। রক্ত ঝরবে এ জগতে, তবু আমরা হাসব। প্রণামস অ্যান্ড নমস্কারস টু অল।